subcommittee on ranking member of the subcommittee on consumer protection and commerce for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. Mr. Dorsey, you have heard briefly about what I'm hearing from, again, in my district, my opening remarks, you've heard them. The other key part with these stories that we're hearing when we conduct these surveys is how we empower law enforcement. In a hearing last year, we received testimony that since 2016, Twitter has intentionally curtailed sharing threat data with law enforcement fusion centers. Here's the question. You're well aware that on Twitter and Periscope, the traffic has increased from bad actors seeking to groom children for molestation, lure females into sex trafficking, sell illegal drugs, incite violence, and even threaten to murder police officers. Are you willing to reinstate this cooperation, retain evidence, and provide law enforcement the tools to protect our most vulnerable? Yes or no?
Well, first, child sexual exploitation has no place on our platform, and I don't believe that's true. We work with local law enforcement regularly.
So you're saying that this is not true? What I'm telling you. Are you willing to reinstate? In other words, it's not going on now. Reinstate this cooperation with law enforcement to retain evidence and provide law enforcement the tools to protect our most vulnerable.
We would love to work with you in more detail on what you're seeing, but we work with law enforcement regularly. We have a strong partnership.
So you're saying that this is not true, what I'm telling you?
I don't believe so, but we'd love to understand the specifics.
Will you commit to doing what I'm telling you you're not doing in the future, and work with me on this?
We'll commit to continue doing what we are doing.
And what is that? You're saying that
working.
So in other words,
local law enforcement.
Okay. Well, let me go on to the next question, but I'm going to follow up with this to make sure you're doing this. I mean, our children's lives are in jeopardy here. Mr. Zuckerberg, we have heard you acknowledge mistakes about your products before. There are now media reports of an Instagram for under 13 being launched. My goodness. Between this and YouTube Kids, you and Mr. Pichai have obviously identified a business case for targeting this age bracket with content, and I find that very concerning, targeting this particular age bracket, 13 and under. Given these free services, how exactly will you be making money, or are you trying to monetize our children too and get them addicted early? And will you be allowing your own children to use this site with the default settings? We're talking about the site that apparently is being launched for children under 13 and under, or under 13 actually. Can you please answer that question for me?
Congressman, we're early in thinking through how this service would work. There is clearly a large number of people under the age of 13 who would want to use a service like Instagram. We currently do not allow them to do that. I think
what would be beneficial? What would be beneficial to our children to launch this kind of service?
Well, Congressman, I think helping people stay connected with friends and learn about different content online is broadly positive. There are clearly issues that need to be thought through and worked out, including how parents can control the experience of kids, especially kids under the age of 13. And we haven't worked through all of that yet, so we haven't kind of formally announced the plans, but I think that something like this could be quite helpful for a lot of people.
Excuse me. Okay, I'll reclaim my time. Mr. Pichai, your company has had failures curating content for kids. What advice would you offer your colleague here?
Congressman, we've invested a lot in a one-of-a-kind product, YouTube Kids. The content there is, we work with trusted content partners. Think Sesame Street as an example of the type of channel you would find there. science videos and cartoons, and we take great effort to make sure.
I got to reclaim my time. I have one last question for Mr. Zuckerberg. Do you have concerns with what has appeared on your platform hosted by YouTube? With regard to your children, but in general, do you have concerns? Yes
Sorry.
or no?
Congressman, are you asking me about YouTube?
Yes, I'm asking you about YouTube.
Congressman, I use YouTube to watch educational videos with my children.
Do you have concerns personally for your children and your family? Personally, do you have concerns?
Congressman, my children are 5 and 3 years old. So when I watch content on YouTube with them, I'm doing it and supervising them. So in that context, no, I haven't particularly had concerns. But I think it's important that if anyone is building a service for kids under the age of 13 to use by themselves, that there are appropriate parental controls.
Gentlemen's time has expired. I'm going to ask all members too to try to stick to our 5-minute rule so that we can get out of here before midnight. Chair will now recognize Mr. Pallone, the full committee chair, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman Doyle. My questions are of Mr. Zuckerberg and Mr. Pichai, but I just want to say, after listening to the two of your testimony, you definitely give the impression that you don't think that you're actively in any way promoting this misinformation and extremism. And I totally disagree with that. You're not passive bystanders. You're not, nonprofits or religious organizations that are trying to do a good job for humanity. You're making money. And the point we're trying to make today, or at least I am, is that when you spread this information, actual misinformation, extremism, actively promote it and amplify it, you do it because you make more money. And so I kind of deny the basic premise of what you said. But let me get to the questions. Let me ask Mr. Zuckerberg, according to a May 2020 Wall Street Journal report, a Facebook researcher concluded that Facebook's own recommendation tools were tied to a significant rise in membership in extremist Facebook groups in Germany. I wrote to you last month requesting this research and related documents. I trust you'll fully cooperate with the committee's inquiry and provide all requested documents and information. But my question is, and please yes or no, were you aware of this research showing that 64% of the members in the extremist Facebook groups studied joined because of Facebook's own recommendations tool, joined these extremist groups in Germany? Were you aware of that? Yes or no?
Congressman, this is something that we study because we want to make sure our products improve.
But I'm asking whether you were aware of it. It's a simple question, yes or no. Were you aware of it? That's all I'm asking. Were you aware of this?